Hello, once again, welcome to the beautiful Blender 2.8 that has just been released. Welcome to another episode of 3DB3. In this episode we're going to be creating a excellent Vaporwave scene. So we're going to start out, we're going to get straight to the point, with making a plane. So we want to make the square, obviously, so we can evenly subdivide it. This is quite important if you want very good and equal divisions between your spikes for your vaporwave animation. Now what I'm doing here is I press Ctrl R and I'm making loop cuts. So I'm doing 50 loop cuts to make a perfectly square grid, which allows you to manipulate each and every vertex that is created by this grid. So we're going to go into grid select mode by pressing 1. So if you press 1, 2 or 3, 1 is vertex select mode, you can see up here. 2 is side select mode, so you can select sides. And 3 is face select mode, so you can select individual faces. Now you can do any type of thing. You can make a city like this. But what I am going to do is be pressing 1 and using this tool. So we're going to use the vertex select to select at random points. So we can use random points, which is probably the best idea. You don't really want to have 2 points in like a square together, because sometimes it can look a bit odd, making like a kind of square, which you don't really want in your final render. I mean, as that's what you're going for. That is the great thing about 3D modeling and 3D design. You can just do stuff like this. So you just want to be like this, going around left clicking, making some dots, and just being, you don't need to really try that hard. This is fun and easy, so if you're a beginner this is actually optimal for you. So now that you have your random points selected, you can see them, they're all like little stars. So if you press up here, or you can press O, it turns on proportional editing. Now here's the type of proportional editing you want to use, and you want to use random. So you want it to have. We can actually no. Let's just leave it like this. So we're gonna use the move tool, and if we just move it up, we get something quite interesting already. So you can see it's already having effect. Now with your scroll wheel, what you can do is adjust what kind of effect you want. So there you go. So now you have a vaporwave scene, really. Let's just select these all again, and I'm just gonna move them up a bit more to make some more spikes. So obviously if you want some different level spikes, because you know all of the spikes are the same and normally they're not, so you can adjust the spikes, make it look more, you know, natural, kind of vapor wavy, you know. It's a new verb now. I mean, obviously I did select more on this side, which makes it sort of biased, but it's all fine. You can always just grab it on the x-axis. I mean, this is not intended for complete beginners, but it's just for someone who wants something aesthetically pleasing and vaporwave. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the modify panel. We're going to go to wireframe, and you see we got this really cool actual wireframe effect. Now for vaporwave effect, you don't want it to remove the original, and obviously this is too thick, so we're gonna bring down the thickness so it's where basically line. Now the material offset allows you to have 2 materials, so we're just going to create 2 new materials. We can call this emission, and we can call this base. So the base material, which will be this material, so if we put this on like this, we can see that right now it's all white, since these are both white materials. Now we want to put this black, and you see it's already taking effect. So you can see I like putting the metallic up, and I like putting the roughness down for a nice reflective effect. You can do this in Eevee or in cycles. Today I'm gonna do it in even because that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like a nice quick render. Now for the emission shader, we just choose emission on this panel, and we can give it pretty much any color you want. And don't forget to put the material offset to 2. So now you can see that it's lighting up very nicely. So it looks already really good as a vaporwave. So you could use this, but I'm going to show you how to go one step further to make your work look even more professional. Now this honestly depends on your PC, but I like having this kind of stuff on. It gives me, I guess, a better looking render in the end. You can have like reflections and stuff, and it looks really nice. So now that you have your kind of viewport looking kind of like this, I guess. Whoops. Now we're going to start working more on kind of making this into an array. So what we are going to do is, now this comes a bit more, you know, difficult, so feel free to stop watching here, but honestly, if you're going to go this far to make a nice looking vaporwave scene, I would might as well just do this, since it does not actually take that much time. It is quite easy, and it will just make your work look that much better. So we can add a new modifier to this, and there's the mirror modifier, and we can add the mirror object as our empty, and we want it on the y-axis. So we have an infinitely looping plane. So there we go. So now we have it doubled and it looks seamless. So we have basically a seamless kind of object. Now we leave our I would not apply everything just yet, just so you can mess around with it and kind of experiment. And if you scroll down, you have the array. So now what you can do, very easy, you change the X to Y. Oops. Y, and you set that to 1, and now you can actually have an infinite amount of loops. This kind of just making it longer and longer, and this is what we want if you want to make a sun. So now guys, I'm gonna show you the way to make a sun. So obviously all vaporwave animations have a sun, and obviously you cannot get it normally, you know. You cannot just put down a sun, you know. You cannot just put down a sun lamp. Obviously that won't work. So my trick is, first you go to the world tab, and you put the background to black. I might show you guys how to actually make a good looking HDRI background for it, but that's for more advanced users looking into the node editor. And I'm gonna make a kind of course where you can build on top of the knowledge you gain from this course. So that's kind of the arrangement. So we're going to create a new circle, quite simple. We're going to go into edit mode, make sure it's selected, and you just press F. And that creates a circle, and it's filled. So you can see now we have a circle. So you can rotate it on the x-axis by pressing RX and then typing 90. And that makes it like this. So now you're saying, wait, the sun isn't flat, I don't want it flat. So you can tab into edit mode, press E, and then press Y. For the axis you want it to be extruded, and there you have it extruded. Now that it's extruded, what you can do is, I guess, make it bigger, because obviously you don't want a small sun. You move it all the way back. So we're going to move it like, maybe, let's say like that. Maybe move it a bit down. Now obviously if it's a bit hard to see like this, you can obviously put up this, and you can kind of see it better. So yeah, that always helps. So we're going to quickly do the material. The material is going to be very simple. We can call this sun, I guess. It's always good to label your materials so you can obviously reuse them. You can make it kind of orange, but what I use is the emission. And for the emission, obviously, you want it quite bright. And you can see the sun just brings everything together, and everything starts looking way better. You can always experiment, and this is what's great about having a 3D modeling application like this. If you want something, you can actually just do it. I guess I like this camera view. We're going to add a camera into the world. Now this is a useful keybind if you don't want to stay moving the camera manually and getting it like all together, you know, messing it up and not getting the perfect view. I just do Control Alt and 0, and that just locks the camera to your view and selects it for you. So you can press G while having the camera selected, and you can move your camera around. I want to move it on the x-axis to kind of like this. And yeah, now you have the camera perfectly where you want it, so it actually is in the correct position. So since we have the sun at the perfect size, we can move the 3D cursor by doing Shift S, and then we can press cursor to active. Now this moves your 3D cursor where you actually place down objects to the center of your sun. Now you can add a nice cube. You can scale it down by pressing SX, and that makes it smaller on the Z. You put that on the Z axis. Now if you press S and press Shift Z, it only enlarges the cube on the X and Y axis, not making it taller. So it's like this. So obviously you can adjust it how you need it. And now if you actually go on Google and search up Vaporwave, Retrowave, whatever, sun, or like scene, you always see a sun like this. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do a loop cut. Now this is gonna just be literally really useful if you guys are working on any type of big project. So we're going to add an array modifier to the cube. Obviously you know what an array modifier does. At this point you can create Z, and as you can see it is actually creating slats kind of out of this cube. Yeah, so if I just scale this down on the Z axis, on some thin cuts, you know what I mean. Alright, there we go. Now we can give it more cuts. We can give it as many cuts as we need or want, or what style you're going for. Now we're going to add the boolean. So what the boolean does, it removes geometry from a shape depending on the object that is intersecting it. So as you can see, this cube, which is an array, is intersecting the sun at these intervals. And now if I select the cube, you can use the eye picker tool. It's easy. And you can see it's creating slats in the sun. So if I apply it, and now you can see that our sun has slats in it, like a vaporwave sun. So now we can obviously remove this cube. You don't need it. It's just extra. So now we can just move our sun into position. You can go to our camera view, check out how this is looking. Now obviously the sun's a bit too big there, so let's move this back a bit. Obviously I want to give it, actually, like that is good. There we go. So now we have a simple vaporwave sun. We have our scene pretty much done here. Now we can turn down the background. Now this is pretty simple. You might be saying, but where are the stars? This is a night sky. Well, I mean, it's not a night sky, but this would be nice to have some stars. Obviously, that's quite an essential part. So I'm going to click Shift S. I'm going to go to put cursor to world origin, which moves it here. I'm going to add a cube from mesh cube. Now that I have this cube, I can scale it on the Z axis. I mean on the X axis. Now on the Y axis. And now you want this to be pretty much the size of your scene. What I'm doing is entering edit mode, pressing 3 for face select, and making these a bit high, and extruding this kind of. It's not really extruding, I'm just kind of moving the face. So now if you look in here, we actually have kind of radiance. It actually looks kind of cool. Now obviously you don't want it to be like, you know. So you don't want it to be like this, kind of. You can scale it up a bit. Alright. So now that we have this, you're saying, how does this create stars? Like if I render this out, there are no stars, you just get radiance. Now this is, it could be what you want, it could be not what you want. In this sample, we don't really want it. So we're going to give it a material. We're going to give it a black material with a super high roughness so that we don't get any of that radiance, see? So it just looks like the cube isn't even there. Yeah. So now, now we're going to, I guess, put our 3D cursor here. And we're going to put a cube. I'd be saying like, what is this cube meant to be? Now we're going to turn this cube actually into a star. You're going to be saying, what? A star? And I understand, this does not look like a star. But we're going to add a emission shader to it. We're going to, I guess, make it a bit bright so we can have a bit of that shine, you know. stars get. And we can select the cube now. Now, this might be a bit advanced for you guys, but I think this really is something you guys should learn, since it's really an important topic. So this menu is called the particle systems, right? And you can add a particle system, and you're saying, okay, what does this do? You know, if you press play, nothing happens. You want to change this to a hair, and you say, this is not stars. Yes, I know, but what you need to do is press render as object, and then the instance object, what you what you want is this cube. Now, as you can see, hundreds of tiny cubes are being placed. So if we go into this, we just got stars. Now, obviously, this you need to adjust. You need to play with it a lot. It's just a kind of quick effect, which is, it works, and it actually looks quite nice. I guess this top phase does not have as many stars, but I'll just put it up and let's see. Yeah, you can see, you can play around with it. Put down the density way down, and you want them to be, I guess, like scale randomness. You can give it scale randomness. You can put up the scale, which starts looking a bit weird after a bit. You can put up the number. Play with it until you enjoy it, until you think it looks good, obviously. And now everything is actually contained in this one box. So that's all to it. I mean, making a vaporwave scene is really enjoyable, and it's a good experience with Blender, since, you know, it's not difficult at any means. So I'm gonna do a quick render of this, and that's gonna be that. So thank you guys so much for watching my first video. I hope that you learned something from this, maybe some keybinds. If you didn't learn anything at all, let me know what I could have improved. Let me know what could be better, what could possibly, I'll put this at 100%, that's too much. What could be better, what you'd enjoy to see more. If you want to see more keybinds, less keybinds, want to see a screencast, which I'll definitely add in the next video. What kind of tutorial you want to see next. If you have any questions in the comments, please let me know. I will be responding to pretty much all of them, since this is a small community, obviously, and that's what's good about this, since you can have a small community. If you have a small community, you can obviously respond to more comments, and, you know, actually be able to say, yeah, I can help you with this, no, I can't, do this, do that, I can see your problems, I can help you guys. I will be showcasing the final render at the end of this video, obviously. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Next tutorial will probably be a node setup or some kind of different vaporwave things. I like that stuff, and it's kind of my style. Or else we'll be doing some simple physics, some simple water animations, some simple smoke animation. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. See you next time.